There we go. Now I can start. Thank you very much and welcome to all our attendees, and a special welcome to our two presenters today, Urmi and Somnath. I'm going to, first of all, just introduce our two speakers to you, and then I'm going to hand over to Somnath, who's going to be our first presenter for today, followed shortly thereafter by Urmi. Our questions will be held at the end, and you're welcome to use the Q&A function to post your questions now, during the presentations, or afterwards. So first of all, to introduce you to Professor Somnath Gangopadhyay. Professor is currently a professor and the former head of Department of Physiology and Occupational Ergonomics Laboratory at the University of Calcutta. He first of all started off his career at the renowned steel plants under the Steel Authority of India Limited. So he was starting off in industry, and only later on in 1997 moved to the University of Calcutta. He's been actively and extensively involved with research activities since then, with more than 250 research publications, including international peer-reviewed journal articles and books. Currently, he's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Ergonomics and Human Factors, and has been awarded chartered status. He has been more than once treasurer and assistant secretary of the Indian Society of Ergonomics, and is currently the treasurer of the Indian Society of Ergonomics. And finally, he is currently a consultant editor of the International Journal of Occupational Safety and Health. Our second speaker is Professor Urmi Salve. Professor Salve is currently a lecturer at the Indian Institute of Technology at Guwahati. Before that, she completed her PhD also at the University of Calcutta. She has more than 26 journal publications and abstract publications, both in international and national journals. And she's also been actively involved in the international community, attending international conferences. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the mantle to Somnath, who'll be giving us the first presentation. Somnath, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew, for my introduction. And I'm grateful that, I'm get opportunity to talk over this, in this webinar. So now I'm sharing my screen. That will take a few minutes. Yes. Hope my screen is visible. So now we are, today I'm going to talk with you on the future work in the Indian perspective. First, I want to show you that, what about the Indian, the population, size of the population, and it is gradually increasing, in the year to year. And from 2018 to 2020, in millions, it is increasing, it's gradually increasing. Now I'm showing you another slide. And this part is actually the population of India, which I already told you that is gradually increasing from, in the different years. And this is actually what I used to say, that is, 1 minute. This is the employments in the different year in India. And also you can find that, the tendency is gradually increasing. And there is another thing I'm just showing over here. It is the, in this image, you will find that the two parts, the red part is the employment, and it is the statistics, 2009 to 2010, that is in the organized sectors, the number of employments in the organized sectors. And the green part is actually in the employment in the organized sectors, and it is 94%. So in the next slide, when we go for the next slide, we'll find that we are just going to the digital India, that we have a good idea about in which way we can proceed to the digital India. So in the future, we will be in the side of digital India, where we can find so many things over there. That is, that we used to say the 9 pillars in the digital India, and you can find in the different, in the different pillars, there's the information for all, broadband highways, universal access to the mobile connectivity. So in the future in India, there will be that thing will be there, that there's some human to human interaction will be minimum, and the human to machine interaction will become maximum, in India. So that means that is gradually we're going to the digital age in case of the India. And the next figure you can find, that is the, that the digital ergonomics, as I already told you, that there's some big scope of this digital ergonomics in future in India. So that means that is the increased focus on the ergonomics in the digital workspace, as more people work remotely. So we can connect, the different people through this, through this interaction through the digital world. And also the AI in the machine learning, that is also very, will be given more importance in case of the, in future India. So the future India will find the office, there's a less amount of people will be there. And then all the people can, can do their office work, the different work, through this, through this way, that is through the mobile phone, through the internet, they can connect. So what will be the job opportunity, in the future India? That's a very important question. And, there may be the lots of occupations will, it will be difficult to find some different occupations in the future. Because the healthcare industry, the artificial intelligence will become very much prominent in the healthcare industry, and the people who are directly involved in this healthcare industry, then what will happen? What will happen among this about this people? So you can say that I'm just read it out, that AI expenditure in India is expected to reach $11.78 billion by 2025 and add 1 trillion, to India economy by 2035. So, that thing is there. So the importance of this digital part will be there. That means not only the, that the, AI, not only the digital part, and also the other technologies will be there, like the wearable technology, virtual reality, biometric sensors. And then in the different occupations, we'll find the very large amount of the applications and the different occupations that will be difficult for the different occupation to survive, maybe, in future India. But I'm just thinking over not only on this, that is the technology part, where the technology advancement will be there, as I already told you, because artificial intelligence is gradually capturing our market, and also the digital market, that is the digital India. We are just going to form the digital India part, because all the government work will be done by this, we can do remotely. And also the wearable technologies will give you some good, the recording and other things. But I'm just thinking about the, that this image give me, the ample informations, because the unorganized sectors and more, in case of in India, and the population, total population is very, very high, that is 94% are directly engaged in this informal sectors. And I will show you another, image and another graph where you will find another table that, that it is gradually increasing, that year to year. So it is a very important thing, that is the informal sector is a large sector, in India, and which are not monitored by any form of government. And also the potential of the job is tremendous high in this informal sector. And of course, there's all the employees are the contractual. So the large amount of populations are now presently involved in the informal sector. And if we just, if the input of the artificial intelligence or robotic hands will be there, then I'm just thinking about this large workforce, what will be the future of this large workforce? So in this way, if we just think to survival of this informal sector is very important because it has a great impact in the economic part, in economic situation of the, of a country, like where the labor laws are mostly not applicable, lack of occupational safety and health awareness is there. But there's a great impact of the, in the economic, economic situations, economic status of our country. But unfortunately, they're in the very great work pressure, and the money means that is if they work more, then they will earn more like that, and there's a great stress of the work and time is there. So production has great importance than the safety and the health in this sector. And of course, the human comfort. In my opinion, the comfort means ergonomics, which is greatly neglected in this sector. So the demand for investigation of the health and safety over there, and the challenges are there, that the survival of this sector, because this sector should be survived. So in future India, when we think about the work, then we think about the work in the informal sectors or the workers in the informal sector. So their survival is a great question in the future, because when the market will become highly, digital market will be there, and some high applications of the technology will be there. And if we are trying to replace the human power with these different technologies, then there will be great threat for this workman. So this is a very interesting thing that in this table you can find that also as the population size is increasing, also as the employment in the different sectors is increasing, that also the employment in the informal sector is also increasing in the year to year. So now it is like in the 1985 to 89, the employment is like 76.2 and where percentage, and where it is 2005 to 10, it is 84, like the 84.2. That's in India. Also in Pakistan, it's gradually increasing. So the survival of this sector is very important because they have a great impact in the economic situation, as you find in this table of our country. So as I already told you that the nature of the, in the informal sectors in India, there are the different natures we can find, that the casual nature of employment, all the employments are, no permanent workers, permanent employment is there, and ignorance and illiteracy, and there's small and scattered site establishment throughout this, in this sector, and which create a great problem for the, for the unity among the sectors. So again, you can find in the India, there's in the formal sectors in the different categories, and in the informal sectors. So the employment of the persons in millions, the employment in the persons or in workers in millions, more than the, in case of the formal sectors in this, all the aspects. So the 93 persons, as you find over here, they're, in the informal sectors. And these 93% now in the first slide, I show you that the 94%, that means it is gradually increasing the total number of, the populations of worker size is gradually increasing. And also the female workers are more in case of the, informal sector. 24.5 million females are engaged in the informal sector. This is the 2009-10 statistics. And you can find that the very good news for the India is the unemployment rate of women is found to have declined in the, in India. But there is lots of accidents out there. The prevention of accidents is also very important for in case of the, for the survival of this type of industry. Musculoskeletal disorders, because they have to work in a very, with the, what to say, that is the poor design tools. They have to work in a very congested workplace with a minimum amount of physical things are there. That is the minimum amount sometimes of illuminations, and the workstation design is not properly They have to work in a very unsafe condition. So these all things are there. And also, as I told you, that there's some tremendous work pressure among this, among this informal sector workers, they feel tremendous work pressure. That means they have to work more to earn more money, So this thing is a very important part in case of the informal sector. So the future of the informal sector, because why I'm giving more importance to that, as I already told you, that this, the large amount of populations are here in this informal sector in India. So we have to give more importance to this, for the survival of this sector. Now there are so many things in the future we have to do, like the investigations of the health and safety. Some proper structured researches should be done. The workforce needs to be recognized, and both informal enterprises and the informal workforce need to be valued for their contribution. So the future, if you just take my opinion, the future is intervention. So we have to give the intervention, and that intervention is that the industry or the specific informal sectors specific. That means for this informal sector, this type of intervention should be given. And intervention, I think that intervention is the only solution through which you can increase the productivity in these informal sectors, and also the survival of these things of the informal sector will be there. And there are the two questions in my mind, that this interventions means that if you introduce robotic hands and other things in the informal sector, then also you can say this is also intervention. But in my opinion, in India, the intervention means the low-cost intervention by changing the workstation, by changing the design of the tools in a very in a very low-cost manner, and the low-cost interventions, only that low-cost intervention can increase the survival, that can help support the survival of the sectors. In my opinion, I'm just believing on this thing. So application of intervention is very, very much important, that the acceptability, whether this intervention will be accepted by these informal sectors or not. So we have to do the behavioral study, we have to do the socioeconomic status to find out the socioeconomic status of the user, and then we should, and after that, then we should apply this intervention. So then the intervention will be accepted. And when the interventions will be accepted, that ergonomic intervention, you can say it is a health intervention, then we can say that is the only part, the only solution, or you can say that these are the best solutions, for the preventions of the, for the preventions of the different diseases and for the survival of the sector. So these are the approaches through which we can do these things: the detailed questionnaire, strategic plan, implementation of intervention, and of course the post-intervention study should be done. So we already did these things in the different different informal sectors, like the soft interventions, like the training, worker cycle, like the workstation design or redesign, modified tools. In this way, we are trying our best to make these things. So the efficacy of the intervention is a very, very important thing. And when you go for the efficacy of identify the efficacy of the intervention, then we find that, in some example I can give you, that for the improvement of their productivity, and, the health and the productivity is improved by through this intervention. Like I'm giving two examples over here, whatever work we did on the different, already did in the different informal sectors, like in the manometer handling work. There's the large amount of load they have to carry in the central market area. It is 80 to 120 kg load they have to carry over their head, and the large amount of accidents reported, and pain at the different parts of the body, maximally at the lower back pain. And then we find out the different studies over these populations, and we find the analysis of the posture analysis of the posture, and we find most of the postures are very dangerous, and the injuries of these people. And then we give some soft intervention, and this intervention costs nothing, there's some stretching exercise we're giving to these workers, and we ask them to perform these exercises twice daily for the 90 days. And then we find the changes in the physical composite score in the positive way, and also the mental composite score in the positive side, and also the pain skill data, that is gradually the pain, that is the decrease, and also the absenteeism. That's the most important thing, because due to the low back pain, there's a maximum cases of absent, workers are absent in their work. So absenteeism decrease, by the applications of a very, very this type of interventions like the exercises, the stretching exercise. So you can say that if we use the robotic hands, or if we think about the more sophisticated technology, then we can do that things, over here. But then what about this type of workers who have to, earn money in these sectors? Then it will be difficult for them to work in this particular and to earn money in this particular, in this informal world. So you can I'm trying to say that we have to find out where we can apply in the technology in India. So we are planning not in the all the sectors, on all the parts. We can apply it in the in some cases we can apply this thing, that is the technology, for the improvement of the productivity. And in other cases, especially in the informal sector, we have to give them some low-cost intervention. I'm giving you another example. Like in the chicken embroidery sectors, these people have to work in the chicken embroidery sectors for a longer period, and they have to sit in a large number of women have to do this work, and that means they have to when they make more and more chicken embroidery, they will earn more money. The things that is like a paid in piece rate, and that will give among this informal sector workers tremendous pressure of work, like the work pressure, the time pressure is there, and also they because their working place is very much congested, very narrow, very small, and that the illumination level of the illumination is very low. So they're developing different types of problems, like the pain at the lower back, 80.5% they suffer from back pain. And also there's some problems of the eye, and also at the different parts of the body, they're pain. And the weakness we identify that there's no fixed monthly income, number one. And the threat is that is the people are very much they have the demand for the machine embroidery. So demand for the hand embroidery is gradually decreasing. So then when we just find out the exact problem in this particular sector, then we find there's some repetitive movements and continuous sitting posture with them, the discomfort feelings at the different parts. And also the different study we already did in these sectors. And we just that to the exact problem, when you find out the exact problem, then we find that there's an entangled of the different color traits are there, and they have to pick a particular color traits from this entangled color traits. Then we think about the concept of the Kajutaka Kogi. Their own things can be given to them to increase the productivity of that own things. Means the very low cost interventions we to give them, so that their productivity will be increased. So when they try to find out a particular color trait from the entangled traits, then they have to take the more time, like the 40 seconds they're taking to find out a particular color trait, because all the color traits are entangled with each other. When we're giving this partition box, as I already told you, this partition box, there are several partitions are there, and they can keep different types of color traits over there. This is a very simple application, and the partition box should be inclined like that. So the forward bending postures can be, decreased, and ultimately it will be easy for them to pick a particular color trait. Very simple application of ergonomics over there. As I told you in the previous things also, We did the very simple application of ergonomics. And the cost of this Persian box, it's 10 rupees. It's less than $1. So, and here you find that now in this Persian box, they're taking only 5 seconds to finding out, the particular color trait. That means that productivity has increased, and maybe the productivity has not increased tremendously, but minimum amount of productivity has increased. So now we can think, that if we give them some technology, and they can use the technology, and we can apply some technology over here, you can say some robotic hand or something like that, if you think, then it will be very easy. And also minimum time is required, for this type of work. But why we should apply these things, and if we apply these things over here, then what about this work? And again, we give them another interventions like the work rest breaks, 30 minutes work and the 5 minutes rest, like the 4 breaks and the 60-minute work and the 10 minutes, like the 2 breaks. And then when the breaks are more, then the productivity has increased, the pain feeling decreased and the productivity has increased. So these are all the low-cost intervention. So future is actually for the informal sectors is low-cost intervention. So I want to say that there are the two worlds, in one world. Like in India, there are the two different worlds. One is the digital India, what a dream of our, because we're going to enter into the digital age in case of the India, and also that the great populations are involved. It's like another world. In the great populations involved in the informal world is the world of for the informal sector. So the intervention is a very, very important thing. So future, if we give these interventions, proper interventions, low-cost intervention, of course, then the work, efficiency will be increased, and we can survive this sector. I'm very much worried about this sector, the informal sector. We can survive this sector. And another things I can say that the global ergonomic standards is a very, very important thing. And now we are going to make our, that own anthropometric data bank, and that's very much required in the design. So design is the future, Design is the future in case of the India. So we should make our global ergonomic standard, and we're going to make these things. And the aging workforce, as the aging populations are gradually increased day by day. So this aging is also a very, very important thing, the aging workforce. So we are trying to do more and more things for this aging population, so that their productivity will be there and they can work more, more years. So their workstation design should be like this. So the future world or future, in India, in case of the, future work in India, but we see that there's some, the applications of this digital thing, or applications of the more sophisticated technology is there, of course, but we should do more and more things for this informal sectors, because informal sectors, a large amount of people that are working over there. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Somnath. I'm going to hand straight over to Urmi now to give her presentation. There's a lot of interesting food for thought in there, so thank you very much. I'm hoping you are connected with Bernard Martin's new technical committee for work in informal communities, or work in the informal sector. Urmi, over to you.
Yes, so shall I share my screen now? Yeah.
Yes, please.
I hope it is visible now. Can anyone please confirm me?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, thank you, Andrew, for giving me this, calling me for this particular session. IEA and ISC for giving my this opportunity to speak in this particular forum. So I'll talk today on the future of work and in the field of ergonomics and which is happening, what is happening in India and what we can to go ahead in this particular domain. Before I go ahead, I just would like to say that I'm Urmi and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Design, IIT Guwahati. Also, I am an associate faculty member in the Jyoti and Bhupat Mehta School of Health Science and Technology. So before I go ahead saying that what is future and what we are currently doing, I think I should tell you about how the ergonomics started in India and what is now how it is being taken care in India. If we look at the history, we will see that in mid 60s, when European societies and American societies, they were very much active in India in the field of ergonomics. They were active. So similar time, in that similar duration, that in 1955 or nearby those area time, Department of Physiology in the Presidency College, it appears that this ergonomics started. Okay, so in terms of research and discussing this particular topic in India. Slowly, this topic or this area of research or this scientific discipline has been taken care in the Central Labor Institute, which normally takes care of the all varieties of labor laws and their legislation and their in India. And definitely, there are institutes like Central Mining Research Institute, which is situated in Dhanbad, India. They also started adapting these discipline like ergonomics in industrial application, started practicing it. Of course, when we talk about ergonomics, defense organization, defense research institutions are always, very much active. In India also, it happens similarly. And slowly it is being taken care, this particular subject is being adopted and, in great manner, they try to practice it and, experiment it. That is by the National Institute of Occupational Health, Ahmedabad. Now, concern is those days everything was in the research field. Like the people who were involved, all the researchers, all the scientists, they were actually doing lot of research. But as an academic curriculum, in the academic curriculum, it first started in 1971 in the Department of Physiology, my parent institution, my parent department, in the University of Calcutta. So it is being introduced as an academic curriculum. Okay, after that it was like it's a kind of burst, like all over India, different institutions, different colleges, different organizations, they started practicing ergonomics. They started implementing ergonomics principles and the scientific way of following these ergonomics formulas and everything in their research as well as in the academic syllabus. Slowly, when it was growing, then there was a need that we should formulate a kind of society. And in 1983, formally, we established in India, of course, Professor Somnath Gangopadhyay, who is current treasurer of this society, that Indian Society of Ergonomics. So this is the only professional body which is representing the human factors ergonomics professionals from India. And in 2001, as per I know, as per the data says that we started, this particular society started a conference, annual gathering, that is the humanizing work and work environment, and it became an annual event for us, for all Indian ergonomists, that we meet in this particular session, we discuss, we encourage the young researchers or budding researchers to discuss about their research work in the field of ergonomy. So this is very interesting area. It's an international forum. Many international participants basically join us during this particular conference. I believe Professor Andrew also was the participant several times. Yeah. So moving forward, I just would like to mention here the what are the varieties of domains, or what are the kind of people who are involved in this ergonomics research, ergonomics academics, curriculum development, or doing academic activities in India. So you can see it started with applied physiology, like Department of Physiology as an academic curriculum. However, it spreaded in different varieties of academic and practicing professionals. Okay, so industrial engineers, designers, production engineers, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, construction management, then sports science, health science, everywhere we practice ergonomics. So maybe the name varies from here and there. However, we practice ergonomics definitely. Okay, so although it started quite late as compared to Western countries, but we can say that ergonomics is right now, if you look at the Indian scenario, many of us actually practice it and do a lot of research in this particular area. So when we are talking about we are practicing, we should know that what are the varieties of institutions or organizations who are involved in this particular type of activity. I would like to say that Indian Institute of Technologies, I am from Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. We have around 23 institutions, IITs in India. So all IITs, IIMs, then NID, National Institute of Design, National Institute of Technology, NITs, all of them are having ergonomics as a component, as a part of their academic curriculum. So this is very, very interesting, and we can say that ergonomics is like known by many researchers, and they've been practicing it. Apart from academic institutions, we have All India Institute of Hygiene and Public Health. They are really the kind of people who are working there. They are contributing a lot. Then CLI, that is the Central Labour Institute, NIOH, I mentioned earlier, then DRDO, DIPAS, and various medical schools also, and Sports Authority of India, that they are also doing a lot of research, and they are doing a lot of certificate programs, they are doing a lot of diploma programs in this particular area. Okay, so this is very interesting that we started, and then it's like we are spreading, we are every day new things are coming up in the field of ergonomics and human factors. So these, as Professor Gangopadhyay was already saying, that informal sector, it's a huge sector, and when we are talking about informal sector, it's like occupational health comes first, right? So if you look at the kind of research publications are coming from Indian authors, you will see the areas are varies. It's a very huge. So it talks about sometimes occupational health, cognitive ergonomics, sports science, aviation, definitely design. Design is a big component when we are talking about ergonomics. health science and technologies, behavioral sciences, design management, robotics, and this definitely the current thing is the AI, VR, AR, and all those things. So augmented reality, virtual reality, everywhere this particular area that the ergonomics and human factors is being researched, okay, in India. So if we actually talk about all these individual domain, how they are working, it's very interesting, and it's like spreading every day. And new generation of researchers, like all our students who are actually started working, they are doing a lot of fantastic work in all these field. So what I'm going to do here, I will give you some brief understanding that what we do at our lab, like DOD, Department of Design. We have an ergonomics lab, so ergo lab. So as Professor Gangopadhyay is saying that informal sector, when we are talking about informal sector, it's very important that we have some kind of low cost intervention. Also, it is very important that it's not only low cost intervention, it should be from the participatory approach, because they are having lot of constraint, or they are scared of doing some new experiments, because it's all about their livelihood, it's all about their monthly income, and it depends on their, it's completely whatever they do, it's actually their bread and butter. So it's very difficult for any person to do intervention for this type of work. So might try, like in my department, with a few of my students, we started two very specific area where it's a craft based sector, and lot of master crafts are involved. How do we do kind of intervention? So I'll give you two examples over here, that how we enhanced the livelihood and their well-being for this informal first one that I want to mention here is the Kolhapuri shoe manufacturing. It's a traditional craft, shoe manufacturing. So for them, it's a very elite craft. Another is the pottery. Okay, so pottery are two types. One is craft, that is for the different types of ornamentation and all those things. Another one is basically we talk about the utility items from the pottery, like storage item, then water cooler, and all those things. Okay, so how the design intervention or ergonomics intervention are going to help them to uplift their well-being? The first one, this if you follow my cursor, I'll see this first intervention was for the Kolhapuri shoe manufacturing. So the problem was that in the whole shoe manufacturing process, that it's a traditional craft where they have a lot of difficulties in the whole manufacturing process, and they used to do everything manual. However, as it is a craft, we may not do lot of mechanical intervention, because if we do so, then the essence of craft we may lose. So what we try to do over here, whatever the process which is not impacting in the whole craft essence of the craft, then we try to remove them, or we try to do some kind of mechanical intervention, so that they can save their time, they can do some kind of different design development, new market capture, and all those things. So in this particular, the first three photographs, it shows that there we developed a very small, very low cost machine which helped them to cut the shoe that soul, and that soul actually was the kind of standardization was required. So like shoe size is based on the sole size, right? So that standardized procedure we tried to make over there. Also, as it is a bigger machine, also not very costly, still through this we try to develop a community based service. Okay, so when we are talking about community based service, then what happens that if this machine is, suppose I'm talking about 10,000 rupees, or like it's a some dollar basically. So when we are talking about that amount, spending that amount for a particular craftsman is maybe bigger, but if you do a community service, maybe in that case they will contribute and they can take benefit of these these machines, and they can do better in their production process. Okay, so this was a very nice intervention, and we did lot of participatory, we took a lot of participatory approach to develop this particular product. We definitely did all these disseminating this knowledge among the craftsmen, and finally we tested from the user that it was a successful product. The second two things that you can see, these are the some stitching workstation. Okay, these are some stitching workstation where we try to understand that when some lady, okay, in if you look at the Indian scenario, the Indian attire is very different. So we call it a sari, like it's a long cloth and they drap it. So it's when wearing that sari, how do they sit comfortably in a particular workplace? And we developed this particular workstations, these two workstation. One is possible you sit on the floor and do activity, and another is possible that you sit on the chair or the small stool kind of thing and do your activity. So both the cases we use the local material, okay, whatever is available locally, and we try to do the things according to their resources available nearby region, so that the cost of the product was very less. And they there is one more problem, that they stay in a very small cottages. Okay, so the lane size of those cottages are very small, and it's very difficult for them to store any kind of table, desk, or any other equipment, because that is their workplace, along with that is the place where they actually live in. Okay, so we made such kind of modular things for them with locally available material, so that as they can use it, and then the storing of those furnitures are not so difficult. So all these interventions was very low cost and very much acceptable at the end of the what I can say, at end of the project. Okay, so still these are in market and they are using it very like in a full-fledged manner. So this is one of the case. In other case, again, it's a craft where like pottery sector, as I mentioned, it's a all utility product that they do mainly for the storage and and all cookery items and all those things. There is decoration. So skilled based labor do lot of skilled work, and which is like it comes from the one generation to another generation and so. But newer generation, they are not ready to learn, because it is a low income. Okay, so what we try to do over there, without or less involvement of the craftsman, how someone can take this type of craft activity. So it's a paddle and anvil technique, where we try to develop a modular system that it's like it's a beating technique basically. When you have a pot, you try to create the texture of it. So it's a very modular what I can say, easily with the easy available material, we try to develop this particular tool where they can have enhanced texture on the utility product, and that can have a bigger market or better market for selling. And if you can increase this market, definitely the per day income will increase. And it is still in the trial session, so I may not be able to tell you the exact increment of their market, but yes, we have seen that it is increasing. Okay, so this type of small design intervention from the craft sector, basically they are definitely informal sector. Okay, so very low cost intervention is happening and we are trying to do it. So this is this was very interesting area where DoD lab is actually going through. Now coming to other area of research, as I mentioned, there are so many interesting areas. So in one of the area where we try to find out the what kind of thermal environment and what is the kind of impact, or because Indian climate is very different. It's not like any other country. It's very hot, very humid, and seasonal changes are very drastic. Okay, so how that is happening and what is the impact, not in the Indian railway passenger portions, we try to see the impact on the chef, like who are the cooking, like who are the cook in the Indian railway. So that kind of research also we are doing at our DoD laboratory, and we found that lot of design changes is possible, and we try to do now. Although this thing happened in a simulated condition, yet to apply in practical, and we are trying to do it. Okay. Another interesting research that we recently completed, that is the in the construction industry. So when we are talking about design through prevention through design. Okay, so when we are in a design phase of any construction, how do we design the elements so that we can prevent any kind of accidents? So in this particular research, what we tried to do is we took a case that is the fall from height, and we tried to understand that what are the safety measures can be possible, how do we train people. So we actually try to work in the field of knowledge management, and we involve all the varieties of safety officers, safety work persons, and the designers who are actually designing the construction sites, like construction projects. So how do we involve them so that at the ground level, like when the workforce are coming into picture, when they are started working, they are kind of informal worker, like the workforce is informal in nature, and the kind of occupational hazards they have, those are very dangerous. Like a lot of lethal cases also happen. So for those cases, we try to use the safety knowledge management thing, and then we try to develop a web-based program, or web-based what I can say, evaluation, so that before we land up doing the project, we know what are the hazards are there and how do we prevent it. It's not that once there is an accident, then we retrospect and do the study. Beforehand, we know that yes, these are the hazards is going to be, and then how do we control it. So this type of things also we are practicing. Of course, industrial revolution, now we are many industries are applying industry 4.0, and slowly, definitely, when we realize that human factors is missing, so we are trying to incorporate human factors and moving to industry 5.0. So for all these types of adaptation when it is happening in India, not in a large scale. However, there are industries like automobile industries, big manufacturing industries where industry 4.2 and 5.2 is in consideration. There we try to understand the role of ergonomics and role of human factors and what are the major barriers to implement those in Indian context. So that type of research also we are actually involved, and we are doing a lot of study, and we are trying to publish our data in different fora. So these are basically the research work that we do at DoD Argo Lab. We have a quite big team. Me, along with one of my faculty colleague, both of us are working. These are the work that I presented is my students who are doing. He also has some students who are also working on the similar field. So it's a huge amount of work that is being done at the Department of Design. So you can understand the quantum of work people are doing in whole India. Okay, there are so many institutions who are actually doing a lot of research, lot of ergonomics intervention at ground level. Okay. So when I'm talking about all of these research and academic activities and all those things, still we have a lot of challenges. We are facing a lot of difficulties in actual implementation. So it's basically in two categories that I realize. It's my personal way of looking at it. One is the how do we implement all these ergonomics intervention when we are talking about the typical organization, typical industries. Okay, so as Professor Gangopadhyay already mentioned, population is very high. It's keep complete. It's increasing day by day. So getting manpower is not really a big question for any industry. You get a lot of quality manpower to do any kind of job. So when it comes to talk about occupational health, occupational safety, scientific way of doing any job, or human factors considerations, it's a big challenge for us to convince the industry to implement those things, because they get lot of good quality manpower without any of these considerations. Yes, I don't say exactly without. Yes, they do consider. However, the level of or intensity of the interventions are really less. Okay, so that is a very big challenge. The second challenge that we are currently facing, as I mentioned, there are so many institutions and academic institutions and other research institutions who are practicing ergonomics. They are doing a lot of research in different curriculum. The ergonomics is there. However, there is what I can say, less number of individual or self like individual program which is based on ergonomics. Okay, so that is not there. As I mentioned, that if someone graduate taking that particular degree, how do we place them? That is a bigger challenge. So because of that, we are facing these problems. So anyway, we are tackling that. So these are the challenges we are facing. So when we are talking about all these things, what is our roadmap? We are trying to develop different kinds of new academic program at the graduation and post-graduation level that we are doing. New industry academia collaboration. So if we have industry academia collaboration, definitely the placement or putting ergonomics intervention will be much easier. National like international student and faculty exchange programs, our government of India promoting lot of exchange programs, so we are getting involved into it so that ergonomics research also get flourished, and international and domestic research collaboration. That is also, Government of India is funding lot of such programs. So these are things we are planning from India. In various institutions, same thing is happening. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk in this particular topic and this particular forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Urmi, and of course again to Somnath as well. There are a couple of questions that are starting to come through. Sorry, I'm just rushing onto the questions because we'd allocated an hour's worth of time and we've used up the hour with our presentation. So I'll try to see if I can cover some of these questions. This is a question from Kailash Monahara Selvan. Ask
Hello. I think I lost.
Yes, no. There's some internet problem. It's a problem of Andrew. Can you hear me, Urmi?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
So it's the problem of Andrew. There's some problem.
Okay.
So I'm just going through the question. The first question is from what is the role of regulatory landscape in ensuring safety, especially in the informal sector? Should we wait?
In the chat, we should wait, right? What is the role of
Yes. One
regular?
second.
Sir, maybe
Because yes, we can answer the question.
yes. Yes.
So, in my opinion, the regulatory roles is, of course, there should be some regulatory roles, that can be used in case of the informal sectors. And of course, we have some regulatory roles. But unfortunately, that is not used in the all informal sector. That's the problem, So that the main important thing is in which way we can use these things. That is the regulatory or the regulations in case of the informal sector. Because the informal economy is very large in India, and it will be very difficult for all the informal sectors to come under the regulatory role. Of course, there should be, but again, it is very difficult in our country because the huge amount of informal sectors are there. So, do you have any other thing to comment, Urmi? You can comment over this thing.
No, sir, I completely agree with you that definitely there are regulatory things are available, but still it is quite difficult. How do we actually implement? How do we monitor? And how do we go ahead with it? So it's little challenging, of course, but yeah, I completely agree with you. I think
and the second question is from Dr. Anindo Ganguly. I feel the future drivers of human factors and ergonomics in India will be business needs and standard. So should I give the answer, that of course, as I mentioned in my presentation, that the standard is a very, very important thing because now we are going to make, the human body design, there's a standard of the anthropometry. That's a Design India. That's the project actually. So that's a very important thing, of course. And in case of the design of any products and other things, and as I already mentioned, there's the different low-cost intervention is very much required. So these are all very much related with the design of the workspace, design of the product. So that is actually the standard is very much is highly. That demand is there on the standard. So that standard, that we are going to make the standard in India, and already in the different institute are trying to make a data pool or data bank of the standard. And we are trying to, use the standard for the future design of the product. Andrew, there's no internet maybe in your case. So
yeah, we have.
But I answered, me and Urmi has already answered to the two questions we find over there. And if you have any other questions to ask, Yes.
I think there is one more question from some anonymous. Anonymously they asked, so maybe I can answer this.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
Urmi.
Yes, it is. I won't say that it is like it is there in the ergonomics as a discipline. It is being practiced. It is being we are teaching in different discipline. However, there is no individual program like bachelor program or master program. But definitely we can sensitize because we conduct lot of workshops. We conduct lot of interaction sessions, and then definitely we have certificate programs that is going on from different organization like IITs does, IIM does. Definitely the certification programs are there, so we can do the sensitization part definitely. Your opinions?
Should I add? Yes, should I add something?
Yes,
Urmi, because we
yes.
have some courses from the before 1971 that was started in my University of Calcutta by Professor Rabindranath Sen. Was a that time still also is a very renowned ergonomist. And he first gave the idea of the low cost interventions, and also the Professor Kogi, Dr. Kogi
You
also
are
with him, that is the low cost interventions, application of the low cost intervention. So we started the course in the master degrees, but it is required that in bachelor the students should have the in the physiology as the background, human physiology of course as the background. But of course there are so many certificate courses, but in future we should think about this line, because there's some structured courses in the ergonomics, especially for Indians, for the India, where the application of the ergonomics can be done, in different industry. So it should be industry related, actually, industry related ergonomics. That is very much required in our country. Of course, I do agree with you, and also we have the person that give this question. So
yeah.
now it's yes,
Context specific interventions and context specific
right,
courses, that is very important, and we are
right,
actually plan, but yet to
right.
start specifically. Yeah.
I must first of all apologize. We had something here which is called which is called load shedding, which meant I lost electricity for a while.
Yes.
And which also meant that I lost my internet connection, so I had to quickly switch from one server to another.
Right.
I see there's a hand up by Deb Kumar Chakrabarti, but I'm not sure, Deb Kumar, that I'm able to give you a chance to speak. The settings for this are set up that that it doesn't allow speaking. If you're able to use the chat function, Deb Kumar, welcome to use the chat function. Otherwise, use the Q&A function.
Right.
But while Deb Kumar is working through that, I just want to take this opportunity to thank the audience for being so patient with us and going past our allotted time. When we get to that point, Urmi, you're going to have to stop the recording, because the hosting, when I got kicked off, the hosting got passed on to you. So I can only start the recording. I can't stop it. I can't see. I'm just trying to see if I've got any other option to do anything. Are you able to, Urmi, if you go to participants,
Record.
are you able to open up and see, give Deb Kumar a chance to speak or not? Or is he typed a question? I can't actually see the questions either at the moment.
Yes, because there's no. Can I do that thing, Andrew? No, it's not possible. No.
No, it's
No.
not.
Can I ask Dev Kumar to?
No,
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I don't have the
Can
option to open it up for verbal questions, I'm afraid. Sorry, Deb Kumar. Instead, probably what I will do is, if you've got any open questions, you're welcome to email me and or any of the speakers. to ask any sort of follow-up questions. We'll be trying to bring all of this information together about the future of work and hopefully have a panel discussion at the IEA 2024 Congress,
Right.
to which I also invite you all to attend, although I imagine it'll be quite expensive getting away to South Korea and also worrying about accommodation there. And also, as Urmi said, I will be at the ACE conference, the Humanizing Work, HWWE. I can't remember all its names. In December in Mumbai, where I'm also going to be giving a presentation on what I've learned from some of the other presentations from some of the other countries. I haven't included India in that, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to carry on some of the conversations there. So without further ado, thank you very much to everyone. And Urmi, when you're ready, you can stop the recording.
Me?
Yes, you'll have to stop the recording for me because you are the host.
Okay.
Now you are the host.
Or alternatively, if you can find a way to make me the host, then I will.
So I will stop. I just stop.